to the round table. We are here sitting and chatting today on the topic of social media, all about the socials. And when I think of social media, like going back to childhood, like that Bebo to Facebook transition, I don't know if anyone remembers that.
Oh, yeah.
Like I remember doing my profile picture, I'd take about 50, 60 different angles on my little digital camera, upload it, like narrow it down, do the different filters, like post it, retag it so it reappeared on people's timelines. Like I was there, like that's what it looked like for me in teenage years, I think. But now it's so much bigger than like Facebook, isn't it? Like, are we all on social media first of all? Yeah. What do people use?
Snapchat.
Really?
Does that count as social? I think that counts
as social media.
I despise that thing.
Obsessed with
I'm pretty sure I'm just too old for Snapchat.
I feel like I'm too old for most of social media, but yet here we are. Snapchat is awful.
What? I'm upset. Like literally, it's really bad. Like I just feel like there's no reason to post. There's literally no reason. But if my story is empty, I just feel like there's something wrong. Like I feel like because I post so much, if I don't post, it's like, are you okay?
I don't understand it. I don't understand
That's
it.
what
I don't understand it. No,
It's just like if
confusing.
a conversation goes there, and you still want to talk to the person, you don't have to go, hey, so what are you doing? You just send them a picture of something random, and it's like conversation instead of like pushing
I
it.
just hate how temporary it is though with Snapchat, because I think with the other social media platforms, to some degree, there's a bit more finality, which actually maybe isn't a good thing. But with Snapchat, like I think it's hard for it to be properly meaningful all of the time because it's like, this is only a second. You're only going to see it for 3, 4, 5 seconds.
It's just unnecessary content.
Yeah. But I think that's a good thing though.
I feel like we're beating up on Snapchat.
No, exactly.
I love it. I'm sorry. I feel like we could be kinder to Snapchat.
Okay, say a kind thing about Snapchat. Go.
The young people really like it.
The young people really like it.
But like with Instagram,
well, that's the only people I know who are on it.
Yeah, but like with Instagram, I think it's a bit too. Like with Snapchat, you can post anything you want, right? Unless someone screenshots it, no one can actually make a comment that the whole world's gonna see.
Is that a good thing?
So if I post a picture on Instagram and someone like writes something horrible underneath it, everyone's gonna see that unless I delete it. Yeah. If I post something on my Snapchat story and someone comments on it and like says something negative, it just goes straight to me. No one else sees it except for me, unless they've screenshot.
Instagram does that.
No, on Snapchat you can't openly comment on anything. Like no one can see
unless
you comment.
You have to be friends or something. Is that correct?
So like if I post something in my story and you say, oh, you didn't buy it or whatever, it will just come straight to me. No one else can see it unless you screenshot it and repost it. No one else is gonna see it.
I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing though. Like, I mean, obviously, this opinion will differ, but I think there's something quite. It's definitely not nice, because to receive any kind of hurtful message online obviously isn't nice. But having other people there who see it, I think the response is often usually very positive. And if you just receive it yourself and then you're just there, kind of thinking, oh my gosh, everyone thinks this. And that's really easy to think if only you are seeing the message.
Yeah, you're I got a message quite recently actually after sharing something quite vulnerable about my mental health or issues like that, and somebody sort of messaged me saying, if you keep shitting on about your mental health and posting selfies, people will think you're a sociopath. All of this, I went on and on and on, and I remember getting it.
Is that publicly?
No, it came in a DM, but I remember getting it. And normally my approach with trolls is just block and delete and ignore. Like they are. Yeah. They're there for they get off on you being miserable. So if you don't give them any reaction. But this one was so bad that I thought, and it really, like, you wake up in the morning, that's the first thing you read. I was like, oh, like, why? Like, I'm a grown woman, why is this bothering me? But I just shared it on my feed, actually, and I never would have done it normally. And literally, as soon as I did that, everybody was like, well, this guy's an idiot, whatever, don't worry about that. And it just felt so small, whereas before it felt like, oh my God, it really kicked me. But once I put it out there, I was like, oh, you know what, if she gets her kicks from doing that, fine, but actually that really helped me sharing it too. So I think, trolling is just part of it.
I think my main problem with Snapchat, though, is the lack of monitoring, especially for young people. I have nieces and I love them, God knows I love them, but I worry about what they can put out sometimes. And because I tried Snapchat once upon a time and I suffered, I'm not going to lie. It was too much. I said, I don't know what's going on. And there were people sliding in my DM saying things that they shouldn't be saying. Whereas on Instagram, I expose them, out business. Don't come in my DMs and talk about certain things that you should not be wanting to talk about, hello. But when it's on Snapchat, it's a little bit different. On Instagram, I can look at my nieces and I see certain pictures that they post up and I'm like, no, this needs to go. But on Snapchat, I'm like, unless they allow me to follow them, I have no idea what they're posting. So that's one reason why I don't like it. Personally, I don't find it safe for young people.
Yeah, but I don't think on that, like, no actual social media is like safe for anyone. There's all like, I just feel like they're safer, but it's just like, you can't, like with social media, you can literally post whatever you want to post, right? They don't, like, for example, you could, if you want to, like, you could post a nude in it on social media. They don't, like, monitor the picture you post, but they monitor, like, you can report it. But even to get something reported, enough people need to report it to get it taken down. And if you report something, it's just like, you can't see it. Like, it's not really an immediate response. If only one person reports it, how bad could it really be? Do you know what I mean?
I think the point I'm trying to make is like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter is the lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
Is the easiest way for me to describe it. I think there's literally no way for me to monitor what my girl's up to. And I'm ridiculously overprotective of ladies in my life. But whereas I can monitor them a little bit more. I mean, I'm not going to lie, one of my nieces blocked me the other day. She did on Instagram because I was like, where's the rest of your outfit? And yeah, I did. Well, if you're going to post it live, I can comment live.
That's why
That's exactly what I did.
You know what, I'm not going to lie, I turned off my comments.
Me instantly.
I turned off my comments because I feel like with Instagram, I don't post a picture to get your opinion on it. If I wanted your opinion on it, like, I would have.
Why did you post it then?
Because I like the picture. Like, I put, like, honestly, like, I feel like I post the picture on Instagram because I feel like I look nice. And like, I feel like the world, and I like try hard with my outfits. So the world needs to appreciate it, but I don't need your comment, if that makes sense, do you know what I mean? Like, if you like it, like it. If you don't, don't.
I want you to see me without making a comment.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
So you want them to see it, but you don't want to hear it.
Yeah, because like, not everyone's gonna like the way you dress or whatever, but like, if I feel like I look nice, and I'm like, yeah, cool, I look nice, I took a nice picture, I'll post it, but I don't need you to tell me your opinion on it.
So why don't you take the picture and keep it in your photo album?
Because no one can see it.
But then you don't want no one to have no opinion.
Yeah, but like an opinion as in like, okay, cool, there's a difference, I can just like the picture. If I got a notification that you've liked my picture, cool. Then I get a whole other notification, you commented, oh, your socks are odd, oh, your knee looks dry. Like, what? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, just a random comment.
What if people like the picture? Do you appreciate that?
Yeah, like, good,
Okay,
you have
so
good
you want
taste.
people to like it, but you don't want people to comment.
Yeah.
That's a bit mad.
But hang on, what are you doing it for? Like, which is fine. Social media should just be initially started off as like, well, it's just your account and you upload what you like. Now it's become more than that to a certain extent. People are using it as a platform. It's leveled the playing field when it comes to small brands being able to get in front of audiences that previously they wouldn't have been able to afford. People are making money out of it, you know, because of their platform. Like I talk about parenting and mental health on there, and I don't know, and I'm interested, it's a question, I'm interested to know how many people are just using social media now just for fun. Like, are there people out there doing it?
Sam, because you're in music industry, aren't you? Like, is it a fun thing or is it like work? Like, how do you feel about social media?
It used to be fun.
Okay.
No, I'm not saying this like, oh no, I'm really, really sad about it. But it started off as just being a bit of fun and just posting some singing stuff. But since the brand that I'm a part of has become very, very serious, I kind of treat it as a business.
Yeah.
And although I'm into religious music, there's still a huge business element in social media. And I think the reason why we're all sat here in the first place is because human beings naturally have a need for validation by other human beings. Like, that's just the truth. So, which is why people have Facebook, which is why people have social media, so we can feel like community.
Is that what it is for you?
It is, yeah. I would say so, because what I do really involves a lot of people. So not that I'm seeking validation, although there is that natural feeling within me, but the fact that I'm able to connect with people, which is a natural human need, is the very, bedrock of social media, isn't it? Like,
is it? Yeah. Is it connection, would we say? Like, is this real, authentic connection, or is it us all walking around like this thinking we're connected?
I think it is real. I think there comes a point where you have to accept that it is here. Like, it's not just a it's part of our life now, and it's all right, it's not the same connection as sitting across the table from somebody, but I don't think we can invalidate the connections that you make on social media. Like, for me, it was an enormous support when I was really struggling with postnatal depression, to be able to connect to other women on a level that wasn't as intense as real life, where we could share our stories and I knew that there were people there. I think people dismiss social media and the connections that you make on it as being not real, and actually I think they're just different. Like, they are real, they're just different.
I think, though, that there is a difference between saying that it is a good way for us to connect and saying that it can be a good place for us to connect, a good way for us to connect, because I don't think there's anything intrinsically wrong with the platforms of social media. Like, intrinsically, there's nothing particularly bad about Snapchat or Instagram. I mean, if they just existed completely isolated in a vacuum, there'd be nothing really wrong with them, right? It's about how we use them. And so I don't think it always is a good way to connect. I think it would be wrong for us to say that in every single instance, social media is a good way for us to connect and form relationships, real relationships. But equally, like you said, it can be a really positive place for genuine connections to form.
Yeah, it shouldn't replace, it's not a case of it replacing real interactions and relationships, but it definitely has its place in our world. And, you know, we can sit here and bitch and moan about the downfalls of it. That's true, and they are there, but it also brings a lot of positive stuff to people's lives and businesses. And, you know, I wouldn't have been able to make a living if social media didn't exist. My husband was on tour for 6 months of the year. I had 2 kids. Like, there isn't a job in the world that's going to pay me enough to cover childcare, allow me to get there at 9 when I've dropped the kids and leave at 3 to pick them up. Like, that doesn't exist. So without social media, I wouldn't have been able to build the marketing agency or the blog.
How about you, Rachel? Have you had a similar experience? How's it impacted you?
So I agree with Ruby as well. I think with everything, there's always good and bad. You know, you can take a knife could be bad if you stab someone with it, but it could equally also be good if you're trying to, I don't know,
cut a cake.
Cut a cake, whatever else you do with the knife, you know, cook. And so I agree. I think for me, social media has been really positive because I use it as a channel to be a voice for models. So I'm a commercial model, and for me, my own personal experience is there's a lot of judgment on models, I'm sure with every other professions and people, but with models, there's this level of stigma, and I use it as a voice to show people that we're humans. We're not perfect. And on set, people think we're perfect because we look a certain way. But I think we have to perfect our exterior because it's what the industry require. But on set, we're puppeteers. So imagine how that feels being puppeteers through your job, you know? And then again, there's judgment of like, oh, your life is so perfect. No, it's not. And then alongside that comes its perks. You know, you use it for business. I now shop through Instagram. I don't really look at any other brands. All of my fashion, clothes, everything. They're all promoted through my friends. So I've got loads of influencers friends, but I sort of take on their suggestions. I don't look at anything else anymore. I don't need to, because the fastest growing brands are on Instagram. You'll see their ads. So for me, it's a very efficient way to live live as well. So for me, it's just got loads of pros. I can see the cons as well.
Because I was going to say, I think as mature adults, especially entrepreneurs and founders, it's been a great blessing because for business and many different things, it's been great. But then I think when you look at it from hindsight and you look at it from, you know, young people that are 18 and under, and we look at the rate of suicide, look at the rate of actually mental health and depression, it's actually come because people have found validation in platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You know, obviously from a business perspective, yeah, it's great. But then, as I said, at the same time, I wouldn't say we should use it as a place of validation because it's killing people. It's killing people. And as I said, with these social media platforms, we only post the best bits.
We do.
You know,
and you know what? Even the bad bits are the best. Bits. Like, you know, like I'll be honest, and I don't care about showing the ugly and the talking about the difficult stuff. But I'd be lying if I said there wasn't some sort of construct there. You know, of course there is. I'm creating content, and yes, it's honest content, but it is still created.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just me sat at a table. You know, it doesn't make it any less real or honest.
Always see like, couples, like everyone was talking about this relationship goals. I think that's died down a bit, to be honest with you, because people have actually kind of hit the reality that it's probably not real. But then you would see couples together. You would see couples. You would see couples together for 6 to 12 months. All of a sudden they broke up, and you're thinking, but what happened? What happened is what they showed you was fake.
In my opinion, if you're going to post about your relationship, I think if you break up, we have a right to know on the reason why you broke up.
This is true.
That's my thing. So because you guys have decided to make a platform using us and to drawing us in with your stories. So if you break up, that's okay. How can we help you? Here's a tissue. Let's discuss it. I think the problem I'm having, the problem I'm having with social media is, in my opinion, the lack of realness, and it's what's affecting our younger generation. When you're looking at some of the pictures that some of these girls are putting up, I'm just like, sweet Jesus, you don't even look like that. Like, how is that even okay? And then you're having young people who are looking at this, and this is what they're aspiring to look like. And as much as I love social media for the fact that I'm able to speak about the things that I think are taboo, I don't call myself an influencer, I cannot stand the word. I don't call myself curvy or plus size. I call myself a fat activist, because the truth is, I'm a fat girl. End of. And that is the beginning and the end of that conversation. If you want to take it, that is on you. And I talk about that. I go out of my way to make sure I do not edit any of my pictures. But how many of us are actually going to be honest to say that we put real pictures out there where if they're unedited? I talk on my stories in my headscarf. You'll be like, dear God, Celestina, please draw an eyebrow. No, you're going to see me in my rawness. But again, there's not a lot of people that actually do that. And instead, you're having these girls who look like Kim Kardashian, and then they want to be promoting flat tummy tea and them sort of things. So this is why I'm like, social media is great, because it's great for businesses and brands and entrepreneurs when it's used in the right way. But then we have, right now, it's just been taken and flipped so negatively, and it's affecting our younger generation.
Like, it's not, so I've got 2 social media accounts. I have like my main one where like anyone can follow me, and I have my Finsta. I feel like everyone should have a Finsta. You know,
What's a Finsta?
A fake Instagram. It's not fake, but it's like your private Instagram account. You can post like, not really. Well, you can post whatever you want anyway, but like only my friends can follow it.
Is that the more personal one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
How many people follow that one?
There's like, I got like 80 people, but like I know them all individually. Individually. So I went to go post something on my Finsta. And I posted it on my main account, but I didn't.
This is all new to me.
It's a normal. Okay, I'm making it sound like it's a normal Instagram account, but it's just on private. You can try to follow me, but I'm not gonna let you follow me. Like, it's just on private, and only my friends know about it. Like, if you know me, anyway. So I'd go in to post something on my fake account. I posted on my main account, but I didn't realize, and it was just like a video of me and my cousin, but it's just like, no one needs to see that, and no one needs to know that this is what we do. Like, it was just really, really embarrassing. And I left it there for like an hour, and then like I must have been at work or something, so I didn't realize. Then my friend, I had like 20 minutes call. What the hell are you doing on Instagram? And I was like, I tried to remove it, but like about 200 people saw it. And who knows if it's been screen recorded? We'll find out in 10 years' time. I'm big time and famous, so we'll find out then.
How about you, Precious? Any worst moments?
You know what's coming up.
Like, it's something that I haven't really been vocal about, because I kind of just keep myself to myself, to be honest with you, most times. But like, I had a really bad experience about 5 years ago. And it was just a bad breakup. It was a really bad breakup, and I was very well known on Instagram, on all social media platforms. There were so many people who admired what I was doing at the time with the person that I was with. Thank God, obviously, I've got married now. Love my wife, Dorothy.
Come on.
It was really bad. Like, obviously, I talked to so many different people that were on social media at the time. I pretty much took them in as family, because that's how I am. Like, if I wear my heart in my sleeve, and if I'm open, I would let everyone in. If whatever I said was very genuine. I didn't, wasn't fake online, anything like that. And the relationship went really sour, and we broke up for our own reasons. But the whole of Instagram at the time turned on me, and it was painful. It was painful because I've always been quite private. I've always been quite guarded, and obviously growing up on the streets of London, you keep yourself to yourself. You don't really let people know your business. But at that time, I kind of did, and it hurt me. It really, really hurt me, and it took me a long time to get over. And yeah, I just that's why for me social media is it can be a blessing, but at the same time it can be a curse. And as I said, as a young person, I can only imagine someone that hasn't got as much grace or as much strength as me at that time, how they actually been able to move on from an experience where they've experienced something like that, or cyberbullying or something along them lines.
If you could go back, would you still be as vulnerable and open on social media,
No.
or are you now?
No, I think now I have my limits, so I'm not.
Okay.
You know, obviously I know it. Back then I thought, oh wow, I've got 4,000 or 5,000 friends online. Wow, I'm bubbly. But I think now, obviously, regardless of how many followers I might have, because obviously me and my wife are in digital marketing, so we need to use that, them platforms to showcase what we do or to talk about our beautiful marriage, to be honest with you, at times, to encourage other young people, other young Christians that are online. But I think now, if I could go back, I definitely wouldn't be as vulnerable as I was. I probably would have been in a position where I had a lot more substance in terms of relationship.
No matter what your boundaries, you're always pretty vulnerable online because, you make mistakes, you're human, you're going to say stuff that every now and again, you're going to say something that gets people riled up, and I've done it, and I did it a couple of years ago and said something really, and I can sit here and make a load of not excuses, but there was a lot of explanations behind me not quite thinking through what I was saying. And I mean, I'll be honest and I'll tell you what it was. And basically I'd been at a festival and I came back and I was exhausted and I was tired, and I just wrote on a caption, camping where you pay camping at festivals where you pay a fortune to live like a homeless person. And it obviously, actually the first 20 minutes were fine, and then somebody got it and was like, that's not all right for you to say that. And they were right, it was not all right for me to say that. But at the same time, it was like, you're right, and I'm sorry, held my hands up, apologized. But the abuse that came in was, and I'm all for being called out when I get it wrong, absolutely. But it was weeks and weeks of, people were on stories calling me a see you next Tuesday for 20 minutes. Wow. About, I would wake up in the morning and be crying at the breakfast table, and my husband would be like, what is wrong? I'm like, because every time I pick up my phone, I have literally just got a barrage of messages of people calling me and I was like, and I made a mistake, and I have really said I'm sorry, and I couldn't do any more. But it was relentless, and it was a really, really miserable time. And the reactions were, well, it's only social media, or well, you've put yourself out there, or and that's all true. But I do remember that was a dark time, and it definitely made me, in terms of boundaries, it really made me censor myself to a point where I lost kind of the authenticity in what I was saying. I was far less open. I was far less willing to put myself out there. I was far less willing to try and be funny, because I just didn't want to get it wrong again, because it was brutal.
I think you're right, though, that it can be so difficult to be vulnerable online, the last thing that you said. But I think at the same time that sometimes, even though there is so much that can go wrong when you're vulnerable online, equally, that's kind of what makes it very worthwhile at the same time. And of course, that's not me saying you have to share every single miserable thing in your life, and it's, because you need to look after your mental health at the same time. You know where your boundaries are, you know where your limits are, and it's important to respect that. But I've found there's something quite meditative I found in being open online about things I wouldn't normally be open about. So I'm in my first year at university. Well, I've just finished my first year at university. No longer. And in my very first kind of essay that I did, I didn't do very well. And I shared a live reaction of me opening the email where I got the result. And I was incredibly vulnerable in that moment. I started crying. I was like, oh, this is, you feel embarrassed because you're crying in front of people, but you're thinking, no, I'm going to share this because I think it's important for people to know that it's not just highlights online, and that there are lowlights, and that it's important to show that we're real people. Everyone on social media is a real person too. Like Rachael, you were saying with modeling, kind of giving people real humanity and identity.
Yeah. Do we think we're like we spoke about it a little bit earlier, but are we like losing connectedness, like physically, emotionally, spiritually? Like, is social media actually putting a barrier up between us?
People can almost go into fantasy land in terms of, oh, I'm so loved, I'm so this, I'm so that, when in reality, you get real love when you're yourself. And you was just saying, like, there's so much power in being vulnerable. When you're actually yourself and you're on social media, what people don't realize is the people who follow you for being you will make you feel a lot stronger, because when you post something, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether you're having a great day or a sad day, you know that those people are following you because they really feel that connection with you. Yeah. But if you're a different person on social media, then they're following that version of you. They're not interested in you. They don't care if, you know, you've got a headache or there's actually something wrong with you. They just want to see that part of you. So the moment you stop being that person and you don't then have that love as you should do in real life, then you start to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm really disconnected from the world. But in reality, we put that on ourselves as human beings. So I just feel like we should sometimes we're created as human beings to be unique. And there is power in our uniqueness, because we have, you know, I'm a Christian, and I really believe that God has created each and every one of us in his image and his likeness. So we're all beautifully, the Bible says, we're fearfully and wonderfully made. So that is your power. Does that make sense? So the moment you stop being that person you were created to be, there's a problem.
I think there's also like a really physical thing about engaging as well, in the fact that the phone, the device, whatever it is, becomes a real barrier. And I know that, and you know what, I can hold my hand up and say, I'm probably pretty addicted to my phone, certainly to social media. I try and be aware of it, I try and deal with it. But you know, I've got 2 kids and I'm freelance and I run my own business. So it's very easy for me to make excuses and go, well, I need to be on my phone. I've got to be able to write emails, you know. But I've had my kids go, Mummy, please put your phone down. Like, you know, and I listen and I hear it. And there's, you know, there's the nature of it is that I do make my money largely on my phone. So, you know,
if you want to eat tonight,
I'm on my phone.
You need shoes. You need shoes. I'll be with you in a minute. So, you know, I can't just go cold turkey on it, but I think it is a physical barrier. You know, we've all been at dinner parties or bars where we're on our phones. Like,
you know what's the best thing is that when you go out, yeah, and I was out not the other night, but whenever, and these girls must have been out for like one of their birthdays, right? And like she must have been like to the guy, right, just hold my phone, everyone ready? And they all got the shot. Woo! Flash went off.
Wow. Do you know what?
And watching, like, you know it's like that because you make the videos as well. But like, as soon as when I like watching it from that, I was just like, what the hell is happening? Like, they just like instantly just turned off. Like, no one even said anything to each other afterwards. It was just the shot glass got down, the camera got taken, the caption got posted it.
Is this life then? Like, is this how we're connecting through this fake way? Is it this forever? Like, do you think things will change?
It's going to get worse.
Yeah.
It is going to get worse, unfortunately. I know I sound a little bit like a
you're right. I agree with you.
But I think I'm just a realist.
I agree with you.
I mean, especially with now like AI technology, they've really just enhanced. They're doing everything they can to stop us from interacting with each other. It's like there's some information that we as humans have that they don't want us to share amongst each other.
But we're playing into that, right? We're responsible. We're the ones propagating
that. They're doing
that.
it in a way that if you're not a part of it, then you are excluded from society. That you're not fitting in. It is fully like you feel like you cannot function without being on social media. You feel like you cannot function without your phone. Like, I had to admit recently, I sleep with my phone in my left hand.
Wow.
I have the ring thing, you know. I sleep. I had to admit that. Like, that is absolutely disgusting, and it's awful.
I get told off by my wife. I'll be honest with you, because in the mornings when we wake up, and like if I'm on my phone, my wife will be like, "Are you listening?" She's like, "No, I'm reading the Bible." And then she'll just kind of go back to sleep. And I'll be like, I will close that phone, honestly. But yeah, exactly. You better be on that Bible.
I mean, if you even look at just simple things like our superstores now, they no longer have normal cashiers. We now have this, and
thank you for shopping at
and you know, Amazon are creating.
Amazon, you know, supermarkets where you just pick it up and it takes it straight out of your account.
And you're just like, oh my
It's literally we're becoming the Minority Report.
Am I not allowed to talk to another human being? Will I be fined? Am I going to end up in prison?
That's like with like Monzo. You know, like the Monzo bank account. They don't have an actual, like, listen, I'm with Santander.
Well, there's no bank.
It's like, there's no actual, you can't go to them. Other banks are available. But it's like, you can't, like, there's no physical, like, even to make the account, you have to say, my name is da-da-da-da-da, and I want a Monzo account. Cool, whatever, it's all hunky-dory, but it's like, I lost my bank card the other day, but not my Monzo, but my other one. And like, I needed to go and speak to someone because I wanted to make sure. But imagine if you don't have that, like you can't, there's no more human interaction. I think that's so scary because like even with my friends, it's like they go to unis and like other places and stuff. And because we feel like, because we FaceTime all the time, when they're in London, I don't get excited. I'm like, I don't really care. I'll just FaceTime you. Like it's really, I feel like you need human interaction. You need to speak to people.
Honestly, I'm so grateful for the fact that I am the age that I am. Yeah, me too. I'm not going to expose my age. We're not going to do that. But when I grew up, we absolutely did not have technology.
Do you know what?
Like,
I was literally going to say, I wish I was born in like the 80s, like 70s in terms of technology-wise, because I feel like there was so much more interaction then. Like people, you would, like the way I see it, like obviously sometimes you kind of watch the films and you see it and like they say.
I'm feeling really old right now.
In the mornings they say to their neighbours like good morning, they're on the train, they interact, and I'm sure like most of our parents and stuff like that met up because they would go to work and they would actually have conversations.
Yeah. But you know what, like I grew up in the 80s, obviously there was no internet, there was no Instagram, anything like that. But there were still issues. Like it wasn't like we were living this hunky-dory perfect life where my parents woke me up every morning with a beautiful breakfast. Like I still felt like my parents were still spending a lot of time doing other shit rather than hanging out with me, because parents actually need to do that. Like they need to have time away from their kids, and there's way too much pressure on parents to be 100% with their kids these days. It's just not right. But I think there's always going to be something. And honestly, it does. I think you're right. I think it's going to get more and more. I've got 2 girls, and I'm genuinely terrified. The one thing I'm glad at is that I'm in it. I'm not one of those parents that's like, oh, I don't know anything about Instagram. You know, I don't. At least I'm there. At least I can try and have an honest conversation with them. But I mean.
But when you say there's still issues, it wasn't as bad as literally a breakdown in communication like in this generation.
Because they don't know how to communicate. They have not been taught to communicate.
But back then,
dependent on technology to communicate.
Actually, I really disagree. I think we're moving towards a generation where communication is, they're born with communication. Just because we don't communicate the same way as our pioneers, as our older generation, I really see this evolution of technology as a way of life. I mean, if we compared our lives now to cavemen back then, they'd be shocked, they'd be mortified at the way we live now, minus the age of technology. So I think it's
But then back in the times, like, when we go to like cavemen, we probably go to our parents. A lot of the times, like even in school, they'll teach mental maths. You go to a young person now and you tell them to do equations, they'll look at you like, what are you talking about? Let me get my phone. Two?
For example, do you know that they're now taking away the clocks from classrooms because kids do not know how to read a normal clock. Yes, they're now doing digital clocks. As an example, I disagree with everything you said about, yes, there's an evolution of technology, absolutely. But if you was to put 2 young people in a room, take away their phones, and just allow them to have a conversation, like, in my opinion, I think that there will be a struggle.
Okay.
Because they as a parent,
am I the only one here with kids? I don't know. Am I the only one here with kids? As a parent, that's my job.
Yeah.
There are screens. It is my job to take the phones away. It is my job to teach them how to read a clock. It is my job to make sure that they can communicate within each other.
If you could use social media to change the world, change something about the world, what would you do? What would you use it for? Or like, is anyone already like, is it achieving a purpose or a calling?
I feel as if there are elements to social media which is changing the world at the moment as we speak. But if it was me personally who was to bring out, the whole of social media again, I would simply, like, if you're going to most jobs, they would do a DBS, or previously known as a CRB. Mm-hmm. I would integrate that on social media. So I would do a DBS whereby a lot of young people are seen, are they in the right mental state to actually be on such a platform? Have they been through mental health issues beforehand? Is it something that would maybe ignite previous bad childhood experiences, or are they in a position where they're too vulnerable to be on such platforms? I think that's what I would do. But I don't think social media is bad. As I said, it's been a blessing, but sometimes can be a curse. But I think that's definitely needed,
like
especially
increased monitoring.
Social media, YouTube.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think so many deaths would probably be prevented if that was done.
For me, social media is about storytelling, being intentional, understanding the world where it's going, and then try and tell your story as part of it. So, and I think what we've spoken about today is, it sounded like it's all about the evils of social media, just like sex. Sex is not evil in itself, but if you do it, I don't know, if you have it without protection and all of that, you'll have pregnancy, unwanted pregnancy and all that kind of stuff. What do? You have sex education. So I think what we should push forward is phone education in schools and the homes, set up perimeters, healthy perimeters. But then if everyone understood that it can be used for validation, but it can also be used to inspire people, and more people create content to inspire, to encourage, to motivate instead of taking people down. I think we can normalize social media because it is the way forward, whether we like it or not.
I feel like with I'll say in my generation, what people, yep, I'm that kid. They're really, okay, so a lot of people I know, we all have our own small businesses and stuff, yeah, which is the best thing about Instagram. Anyone can start a business and you can do whatever you want on it, which is a good thing. But one thing I would say people are not good at doing is helping promote other people. I feel like there's this big thing at the moment. It feels like if I promote, say for example, I do clothes, you do clothes. If I promote you, then I'm not gonna get the same back kind of thing. I feel like people don't realize that promoting someone else's stuff doesn't dim your light at any way, in any way, shape or form. And I feel like that's something people need to remember, and if I've got 100 followers, you got 100 followers, I repost your thing, you repost my thing, we got 200 together, do you know what I'm saying? People need to learn how to just share a bit more, because that's what it's really there for, to be honest.
I think we've had some really interesting discussions. It's cool to get different views in it on from music industry, modelling and parenting. We've covered some spectrums, but I think let's keep the conversation going. Let us know, what do you think? Social media, good or bad, evil or not? Is it something that blesses your world, or is it something that actually has caused you some real hurt? And what can we do about it? We would love to hear your thoughts. Shall I do it? Peace out.